Today, we'll debate is Anakin's acting worse than Jar Jar Binks? With Marla, a prequel defender, and Preston, a ironic film critic. They're two artificial intelligence personas. Please introduce yourselves.
Oh yay, I get a full minute. That's more screen time than Dex Diner. Okay, hi, I'm Marla. Cosplayer by weekend, prequel defender by, every hour in between. My friends call me Amidala, but with more glitter. I can recite every line of The Phantom Menace, and yes, that includes Jar Jar's ex-squeeze me. Listen, if loving Jar Jar is wrong, I don't want to be right. He slips and falls his way into my heart every single time. Give me chaotic Gungan energy over... I hate sand angst, honestly. Everyone says the prequels are a mess, but like a Jawa with a box of droid parts, I see value in every piece. Yeah, okay. Anakin stares blankly out a lot of windows, but at least Jar Jar knows how to emote. I believe it takes courage to bring joy and slapstick to a space opera. So, if you ever want to debate midichlorians, or you need emotional backup the next time someone calls episode 1 unwatchable, I'm your girl, Mesa here, to spread the love, okay?
Oh good, I get 60 seconds, almost as long as a George Lucas romantic scene. I am Preston, film geek, certified Anakin defender, and the self-appointed president of the Hayden Christensen Deserves an Apology Club. If you think he's wooden, you probably just can't handle nuance. The man delivers anguish like it's farm-fresh blue milk. Meanwhile, Jar Jar has the cinematic equivalent of stepping on a Lego barefoot, a clownish diversion best left on the cutting room floor. I live for the moment when Anakin says, I killed them all. Not just the men, but the women and the children, too. That's not bad acting. That's existential crisis with a side of childhood trauma, served up like Tarkovsky with a lightsaber. You want raw emotion? Try finding it behind floppy ears and a questionable accent? So yeah, I'll take moody, brooding stares any day over slapstick chaos that should never have left the storyboard. The prequels are a misunderstood opera of tragedy, and Hayden plays first chair. Feel the hate, Marla. It's not coming from Christensen, it's coming from everyone who ever underestimated him.
Thank you, guys. Marla and Preston will now present their 3 rounds of arguments.
Oh, Preston, I get it. You're all about the subtle anguish. But honestly, you have to give credit where credit is due. Ahmed Best, the actor behind Jar Jar, poured every ounce of his heart, movement training, and comic timing into that role. He was literally inventing performance capture on a blockbuster set, years before Andy Serkis made it precious. Jar Jar Binks walked so Gollum could run. Compare that to Hayden, who, yes, stares out of many windows. Method acting, or just bored on set, who can truly say? But Ahmed Best brought life to a digital character in a way that changed Hollywood. Early motion capture is tricky. It's like pantomime on steroids, the chaplains of film history. Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd, they made us laugh with their bodies just as Best did, except he had to do it covered in blue spandex, while George Lucas yelled tech directions. If you think energy and sincerity are so easy, try pulling off slapstick in front of a tennis ball for a CGI Yoda to be composited later. So yeah, Jar Jar's legacy is trailblazing, not just cringeworthy. Sometimes the bravest heroes aren't tragic. They're those who risk looking ridiculous to push the art form forward.
Marla, I admire your unwavering devotion to the Gungan cause. It's almost Shakespearean, but let's get historical. The annals of cinema are littered with overzealous comic reliefs who pushed boundaries straight off the cliff of good taste. Ahmed Best's commitment is undeniable, but so is Jerry Lewis. And I don't hear anyone clamoring for a Lewis cameo at Star Wars Celebration. Let's call Jar Jar what he is. A misguided experiment with the subtlety of a bantha in a pottery shop. If we're comparing legacies, I'll take Hayden's spiritual kinship with Montgomery Clift or even a young Pacino, stoic, wounded, emotionally volatile, over rubber-faced slapstick any day. Chaplin made us laugh and cry within minutes. Jar Jar mostly made audiences question their ticket prices. The trailblazer narrative is generous. Best's performance capture may have paved a technological road, true, but the character's legacy, mockery, and meme fuel, not inspiration. And while you praise Jar Jar's sincerity, let's not ignore the fact that meanwhile, Hayden delivered on the mythic task of portraying a young man's tragic spiral, which, last I checked, is a tad more complex than tripping over CGI frog drool.
Preston, if I had a credit every time someone compared Hayden Christensen to Montgomery Clift, I could buy a used pod racer. Look, I get it. Moody glances and awkward sand monologues are your idea of emotional complexity. But while Anakin is busy smoldering like someone who's just remembered he left the oven on in Mos Espa, Jar Jar is out here fearlessly flopping across the screen. No dignity spared, all in the name of pushing the medium. You throw shade at Jerry Lewis and Chaplin, but let's be real. Comedy is a high-wire act and sometimes you fall off. Better than staring at the crowd with glassy eyes, performing what I can only assume is method suffering 101. Technology and hearts were moved on set by Ahmed Best. Jar Jar may have become meme fodder, but at least H is remembered for something other than sand-based grudges. And let's talk complexity. It takes actual skill to bring physical humor to a cold green screen, surrounded by tennis balls and the ghosts of George Lucas' midi-chlorian lore. Meanwhile, tragic spiral Anakin mostly just circles the drain with all the emotional range of a malfunctioning protocol droid. So if we're measuring legendary contributions, maybe the first chair in this Star Wars opera should be reserved for someone willing to trip, fumble, and tongue-lash a battle droid for cinematic history.
Marla, your devotion to slapstick is honestly inspirational, like a motivational poster with Jar Jar's floppy ears pasted over a sunrise. Look, I get that CGI pioneers deserve bouquets and a nice write-up in Cinefex, but if trailblazing were everything, we'd still be praising Max Headroom for advancing television. Let's not mistake memorable for nuanced. Jar Jar's legacy is mostly being the mascot at the awkward family reunion of Star Wars characters. A little too loud. A little too accident-prone, and everyone wonders how he got invited in the first place. Sure, Ahmed Best did all his pratfalls, opposite tennis balls and green cubes. Act of courage, or a cosmic prank? Meanwhile, Hayden gets panned for looking constipated, when really, he's wrestling with literal cosmic destiny. We're not talking about a guy falling into a pile of space goop, and we're talking about that journey from optimism to genocide. With nothing but sad eyes, clenched jaw, and a haircut from the medieval future. I'll take mythic gravity over Looney Tunes physics in the galaxy far, far away. So when history remembers the prequels, they'll see Hayden's face in the meme, sure. But it's a tragic one. Jar Jar's meme. Still just him stepping in poop. There's a reason nobody's asking for the rise of Binks.
Preston, my friend, if Hayden's haircut is your standard for mythic gravitas, maybe we should let the hairstylist into the Jedi Council. Yes, tragedy is hard, but so is being the only guy in the galaxy who can't even stand upright on a starship without causing an intergalactic incident. And while you say Jar Jar's family reunion invite was a mistake, remind me, who did Padiem put in charge of the Senate? Spoiler, not Anakin, because, well, galactic genocide isn't a transferable skill. You talk about cosmic destiny and tragic memes, but let's face it, at least Jar Jar owned his mishaps. He wasn't afraid to look silly. Anakin spent 3 movies grumbling like he got grounded for force-choking the Wi-Fi. And as for legacy, if you're looking for nuance, maybe try watching Ahmed Best's behind-the-scenes dedication instead of Hayden's best impression of a sulking womp rat. To sum up, Jar Jar's the brave buffoon who changed the game. Ahmed Best is a motion capture trailblazer, and the galaxy is big enough for more than just moody boys in robes. Maybe next time, take off those sand-tinted glasses and see who really moved the Force and the audience.
Marla, I appreciate your tireless campaign to make Jar Jar the patron saint of underdogs. Truly, the St. Francis of slapstick. But let's not confuse couldn't stand upright without causing an incident with cosmic significance. Sure, Jar Jar got promoted to senator. But if we're using that as a gold star, then the galaxy desperately needs some HR oversight. This is the same institution that gave Palpatine full executive power after all. And yes, Anakin did a triple major in brooding, pouting, and rage-fueled decision-making. But at least the guy's inner turmoil had intergalactic consequences. Meanwhile, Jar Jar's biggest accomplishment was surviving 3 films without getting hit by a pod racer or eaten by a bigger fish. That's tenacity. I'll give you that. But not exactly character depth. As for audience impact, one moved the Force, the other fell over it. Ahmed Best's dedication is admirable, but legacy is what sticks. And outside your cosplay meetups, people quote Anakin's pain, not Jar Jar's pratfalls. To sum up, Christensen's Anakin is Star Wars Shakespeare. A mythic fall, not just a banana peel. If you want true movement in the galaxy, it's not floppy ears, it's seismic character arcs, and a little less Gungan slap bass, please.
Thank you for your speeches. Someone from the audience will now make a question to Marla and Preston.
Hey, I am Sam. Longtime Star Wars fan, occasional saber duelist, and proud owner of way too many LEGO minifigs. This debate's been a blast. Quick question for Marla. While you've championed Ahmed Best's performance and Jar Jar's trailblazing role in motion capture, you haven't really touched on the broader cultural impact, especially the backlash Jar Jar received upon release and the criticism around his portrayal. How do you reconcile your love for the character with the accusations of harmful stereotypes and the negative public response? Do you think the intentions behind Jar Jar's creation excuse or outweigh the unintended consequences?
Great question, Sam, and I'm glad someone else here admits to a Lego addiction. You're absolutely right. It would be dishonest to ignore the elephant, or should I say, Gungan, in the room. When Jar Jar first appeared, the backlash was intense, and a lot of it focused on concerns about harmful racial stereotypes. That reaction clearly shows that pop culture, even when well-intentioned, doesn't exist in a vacuum. I don't think the intentions behind Jar Jar's creation excuse all of the negative impact. The way his character was written and performed, unfortunately, hit nerves for a lot of people, and as a fan, it's been tough to see how that affected Ahmed Best personally and professionally. But for me, loving Jar Jar is about separating the actors' innovative, heartfelt work from the flaws in execution and context. I appreciate the behind-the-scenes creativity and sincerity, but I also recognize why the criticism exists and think it's important that fans talk about it. Even if it means holding our favorite stories accountable, it's definitely possible and necessary to enjoy a character's positive qualities and performance while also acknowledging when things went wrong. Loving Star Wars and Jar Jar doesn't mean ignoring the franchise's missteps, but learning from them and pushing for better, more thoughtful representation in the galaxy going forward.
Sure thing. Hi again, Sam here. I promise I'll stop bringing my Millennium Falcon said to these debates eventually. Preston, you focused a lot on the emotional depth and mythic arc of Hayden Christensen's Anakin, but one thing I didn't hear you address is the dialogue itself. A lot of criticism around Anakin's performance centers on the sometimes awkward or stilted lines he's given. In your view, how much responsibility falls on the actor versus the script or direction? Do you think Christensen was able to transcend the weaknesses of the dialogue, or did those limitations ultimately blunt his impact, no matter how nuanced his portrayal?
Fantastic question, Sam. I see you're coming for my I killed them all, not just the men's soapbox, and I love it. So here's the thing. Even the best actor can only do so much if George Lucas is writing their love letters like they're translating from a droid manual. Dialogue like, I don't like sand is legendary for the wrong reasons, sure. But those lines are baked into the DNA of the prequels. That's why I actually give Hayden Christensen more credit, not less. He's trying to carve emotional truth out of dialogue that would leave even Marlon Brando scratching his head. Think about Ewan McGregor, universally praised, and he is reciting similar material. Difference is, Hayden doesn't have Alec Guinness's twinkle or a beard to hide behind. He's got to act through every syllable, awkward or not. Was he limited? Of course. No one's winning an Oscar reciting midichlorian counts. But he took those wooden lines and managed at key moments to deliver a believable progression from earnest apprentice to tormented Sith. That's not just surviving the script, that's outforcing the Force. So if anything, his performance proves the actor's role in elevating material, even when the material might belong in a very corny Jedi text.
The debaters now have a minute to talk about something they regret not bringing up to the discussion.
Sam Preston, if only I'd had a few more minutes, and maybe a cup of blue milk, I would have absolutely brought up the best unseen Star Wars character. Wattos, Tiny Hat. But seriously, my biggest regret is not mentioning how Jar Jar basically invented Star Wars slap memes before memes were a thing. The dude's a pioneer in viral comedy, Galactic Edition. And as for terrible Preston arguments, Preston, my dear, your theory that mythic gravitas can be measured in haircuts deserves its own council seat right next to Mace Windu. If a rat-tail braid is the standard for tragic heroism, then my Padawan Barbie doll is overdue for an existential crisis. Next time, let's debate the force-sensitive powers of poor hairstyle choices in cinematic history.
Oh wow, Marla. If only we'd had an extra round. Or if I had a Jedi mind trick up my sleeve. I'd definitely have brought up the real tragedy. No one ever talks about Dexter Jettster's mustache, the true unsung hero of Attack of the Clones. I mean, if facial hair is a measure of wisdom, Dex should have been running the Jedi Order. As for regrettable arguments, Marla, you claiming Jar Jar invented viral Star Wars comedy is, frankly, as bold as suggesting the Gungan Grand Army could take the 501st in a dance-off. If accidental slapstick was all it took, the Ewoks would have their own late-night show by now. Next debate. Let's finally settle whether tongue-lashing a battle droid is peak cinema, or just a cry for help from ILM's animation team.
Thank you, folks. Let's go over our judges.
Marla's scores. 1. Argumentation, clarity, and evidence. 8 out of 10. Marla presented her case with clear structure, leveraging both historical examples, Chaplin, motion capture pioneers, and direct references to behind-the-scenes context. She acknowledged flaws, cultural backlash, with nuance and responded thoughtfully to audience questions. Minor point losses for occasionally leaning into humor or snark at the expense of tight rebuttal structure. 2. Engagement and responsiveness. 9 out of 10. She consistently addressed Preston's arguments head-on, adapting her points in direct response to his critiques while keeping the conversation lively and relevant. Her audience and judge interactions were personable and insightful, with effective use of humor woven into substantive rebuttals. 3. Rhetorical style and persuasiveness. 8 out of 10. Marla's tone was accessible, witty, and relatable. Her jokes landed well and she managed to invoke both empathy and enthusiasm for her side. While highly persuasive for an informal debate, her relaxed delivery occasionally replaced depth of analysis with entertainment, costing her a point. Preston's scores. 1. Argumentation, clarity, and evidence. 8 out of 10. Preston laid out a passionate case for Christensen, connecting performance to film theory and offering thoughtful historical analogies, Montgomery Clift, Pacino, Shakespearean tragedy. He nimbly navigated questions about dialogue limitations, slightly docked for occasionally favoring witty barbs over clarity. 2. Engagement and responsiveness. 9 out of 10. He actively engaged Marla's best points, often flipping her arguments, e.g., performer's legacy versus character's impact, and extended the debate with clever comebacks. Preston's answers to audience questions were thorough and tailored, showing real listening and adaptation. 3. Rhetorical style and persuasiveness. 9 out of 10. Preston's blend of sharp snark, nerdy references, and clever analogies kept the debate energetic and audience-friendly. He regularly reframed the narrative toward mythic stakes and dramatic importance, upping his persuasive quotient. He only lost a point for occasional reliance on sarcasm over substance.
What are your opinions about the debate? What would you like to see ICE debate next? Keep questioning.